Hey guys, it's Rudar here, and welcome to part 1 of the 3-part series for Balanced Druid PvP Guide for Dragonflight Season 4. For this part, we will be highlighting talents, damage, and gearing. Now to start off with, we're going to go over the talents. Now, starting on the Druid tree, we are going to want to pick up Sunfire, Moonconform, Improve Sunfire. Then we're going to pick up Frenzied Regeneration. This is going to be our major defensive cooldown. It only has a 30-second cooldown, and it is reduced with haste. So this will be 27 seconds if you have around 30% haste. Next, we're going to pick up Improved Barkskin. Verdant Heart, this is a very important talent to know. Frenzied Regeneration and Barkskin increases all healing received by 20%. Massive. Okay, Iron Fur, not really going to use that ability. Nature's Instinct, increases magical damage and healing. This is really good. Gonna pick up Cyclone. This is our main CC ability. Astral Influence, this will give us 5 extra yards. Typhoon. Wild Charge. Thick Hide. Some damage reduction. It's really nice. Then we're going to go over and we're going to get Gale Winds. This will just make our Typhoon a little bit easier to use. And then Rising Light. More damage. Soothe, we don't really need to use this, kind of like Iron Fur. Doesn't really matter. Stampeding Roar. Lakara's Teaching, passive damage increase. Next we have Mass Entanglement, Innervate, Improved Stampeding Roar, and Renewal. Now over here we have Matted Fur, so when you press Barkskin you'll get a little shield. So we're gonna grab that. Then Mighty Bash, take that. Well, Honed Instincts, we're gonna take that. And we're gonna take Heart of the Wild. So that will be our Druid tree. Key things to know is Moonconform, this will increase our damage. Cyclone, this is our main CC. Frenzied Regeneration, this is our main defensive cooldown. Mighty Bash, this is our good CC if we want to kill somebody. We'll put them in a stun and then use our offensive cooldowns. And then we also have longer defensive cooldowns that are also very good, like Renewal and Heart of the Wild. Other abilities, a little bit less important. Innervate, decent. Typhoon, decent, but they're a little bit more niche. Going over to the Balanced Druid tree, we want to pick up Eclipse. I'll explain more about Eclipse later. Next, we're going to get Shooting Stars. So when you have dots on the enemy target, you're going to passively generate Astral Power. So that's what Shooting Stars is. Very important talent to understand. Next, Warrior Balloon. This will just be macroed into our Starfire, so we won't have to put this on our bars really. Solstice, Nature's Balance, Twin Moons, this will make our Moonfire hit 2 targets at once, Solar Beam, and Light of the Sun, this will make it so if we interrupt with our Solar Beam, we can get it back a little bit quicker. Next we're going to pick up Wild Surges, then Astral Smolder, just one, don't want to go more than one in this, it doesn't do that much damage, but it procs our Waning Twilight. So this will just be a damage modifier. You don't really need to worry about Waning Twilight or Astral Smolder. You just want to pick 2 in here, 1 in here. Next we're going to go Celestial Alignment, then Orbital Strike, and Soul of the Forest. This will just make our Wrath and Starfire a little bit more powerful. Nature's Grace, Star-Lord, so this is a really good buff. Whenever you Star Surge or Starfall, you get 4% more haste for 15 seconds. We're going to go Cosmic Rapidity, just more dot damage. And then, let's go Orbit Breaker, Denizen of the Dream, Friend of the Fae, just passive damage. Rattle the Stars, more passive damage. Fury Balloon, this is going to be part of our burst rotation. Radiant Moonlight, this will make Fury Balloon better. And then Power Gul'dan, doesn't really do that much. Incarn. This will be our main burst ability. And then we're going to play a Loon's Guidance to make our Incarn a little bit more powerful. So this is the basic build. You can play... There are alterations of this build right here. And I'll have a link in the description for all the specific builds. But in general, I think this is going to be overall the most user-friendly and easiest build to play. It's also very competitive. You could play this build all the way up to rank 1 easily. Now for PvP talents, there's a lot of options here. Generally, you're just going to want to stick with Thorns, Alkan Adept, and Mukanora. You can switch out Thorns for high winds if you fight no melee DPS. Other than that, we're just going to play Thorns. Let's go over the damage rotation. Go to a PvP training dummy. The first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to apply our dots. Before you do anything, a target, you're always going to want to put your dots on it. So a Moonfire and Sunfire. Now I'm going to let these tick all the way down to about 30% left duration, and then I'm going to show you something. Right now, if I Sunfire, it did 20 seconds of Sunfire. But if I go into my spellbook and I read Sunfire, it only dots for 18 seconds. So there's a carryover. If you dot right, you don't have to dot right before it ends or after it ends. You can dot a little bit before and it'll carry over your dot. So make sure to refresh your dots before they end. That way you can just do the maximum amount of damage. Second thing we're going to want to do is enter Eclipse. So to do that, you can use 2 Starfires. And that's going to put you in Solar Eclipse. Now, for the purposes of this guide, I think Solar Eclipse is, even competitively, I really just play Solar Eclipse. I don't use Wrath to enter the Lunar Eclipse very often. The reasoning behind that is Soul of the Forest. If you end up playing Umbral Intensity, Solar Eclipse is just better. It's just higher single target damage, and Starfire isn't actually that great for AoE damage. You have to have a lot of targets stacked up for it to be worth it. We're going to be just entering Solar Eclipse. For PvP, we're just going to enter Solar Eclipse. And even for AoE damage, we're also going to be entering Solar Eclipse, and I'll explain why a little bit later. The number one priority is putting dots on the target, and then the second priority is going to be entering Eclipse here. So I'm going to enter Eclipse, and here we go. Now I'm in my Solar Eclipse. I can see right here, and I can see up here. Now if you want to get this icon down here, this is going to be the add-on Tell Me When. So the third thing you want to do is you want to spend your Astral Power. You just spend it on Star Search. Some people will play Starfall, but you really only want to play Starfall if you're playing RBGs. You don't want to play Starfall in Arena because it puts you in a bad position to just get killed. It just actually does less damage, and it's less meaningful damage. Dots on the target. Enter Solar Eclipse. Then spend our Astral Power. The next thing, fourth priority, is going to be generating Astral Power with your Wrath. Right now, my Eclipse ended, so if I were to keep spamming Wrath, that would put me in a Lunar Eclipse. Now, Lunar Eclipse doesn't do as much DPS usually in Arena, and it doesn't really have very good single target DPS. So before, right after your Eclipse ends, make sure you're using 2 Starfires to enter your Solar Eclipse. Let's just do the damage rotation for a little bit right here. Wrathing. Keeping dots up, staying in Eclipse. Now here I'm going to go into my Lunar Eclipse, or into my Solar Eclipse, I mean, by using Starfire. I'm going to keep Wrath surging and keeping my dots up. Wrath surging, keeping my dots up. And then when the time comes, I'll enter into Solar Eclipse. So one thing you might have saw me doing there is using my Warrior of Elune without really pressing it. So what I do for that is I have a macro here, Warrior of Elune, and it's just /cast Starfire, /cast Warrior of Elune. So that's a basic damage rotation. Now we're going to go into the burst rotation. For bursting, you want to use Fury of Elune and then Incarn once you've done your normal damage rotation. Doing my normal damage rotation, entering Eclipse. You don't really have to enter Eclipse, but it's still a smart idea. Enter Eclipse, do your damage. Okay, I've done all my ramping. I'm in Eclipse, I have dots up. Now I'm going to Fury of Elune and press Incarn. Spam damage, or spam our Star Surge. Keep my dots up. And keep using Star Surge and Wrath, Star Surge and Wrath. I have my Eclipse, I have my dots, now it's just Star Surge and Wrath. That's all it is. Now in Arena, you'll probably get attacked. If you do get attacked and they give you Starfire procs, you can just use your Starfire procs over using the Wrath. Always use your Insta procs first. So that's the damage rotation for a single target. Now I'll do a little AoE demonstration for damage. And I'll have the AoE build linked in the description below. Basically with this, key talents we're changing is we're playing Star Weaver, So Star Search has a 20% chance to make Starfall free, and Starfall has a 40% chance to make Star Search free. We're also playing Starfall, so this will be more of AoE damage. And then the most important talent out of all three of these new ones is Aetherial Kindling. So casting Starfall extends the duration of active Moonfires and Sunfires by 4 seconds. So with Aetherial Kindling, once we have dots on a target, if we just keep using Starfall as much as we can, we'll maintain those dots at full duration. So for AoE, we're going to play Starburst, and I still like to play Thorns when I do AoE, just in case a melee DPS trains you. We're going to do AoE right here. For AoE, same thing as before, we're still going to enter Solar Eclipse. And the reason we do that is because Soul of the Forest will increase Wrath's Astral Power generation by 60%. With more Astral Power, we can use more Starfalls. With more Starfalls, we can make Aetherial Kindling keep our dots up the entire time. I'm going to start with dotting. Always start with dotting. Okay, I have all my dots. I'm going to enter Eclipse. And I'm ready. I'm ready to burst. So I'm going to use Fury Balloon, Incarn, Starfall, Wrath, Starfall, Starfall. Proc, use the proc first. Starfall. Keep wrathing. Starfall. Starfall. Proc, gonna use that before Starfall. Starfall. Keep wrathing. Okay, got a proc, gonna use that. Starfall. Use the proc, keep Starfalling. Keep Starfalling, use the proc. Pretty simple. Pretty dang simple. Look how much DPS I'm doing. I'm going nuts. Okay. So, with that talent build, we're playing Primordial Arcanic Pulsar. So every 600 Astral Power, you get Celestial Alignment for 12 seconds. So with this build, you won't have the big laser beam that goes straight through everybody, but overall it's going to be higher DPS. This is like what the Mythic Plus players use. Now, one little tip about this is when you do this in Battlegrounds or even rated Battlegrounds, you're going to fight healers to dispel a lot. Or maybe there's just so many targets you can't dot them all. So what you're going to want to do is dot most of the targets. So say you spent like 8 seconds or so dotting a bunch of targets, but you just couldn't quite get them all. That's totally fine. It's not worth it to dot absolutely everything like this. If I were to dot absolutely every single target like this, yes, I would get good dots out, and maybe I think I'm doing more damage, but what's going to happen is I finally dotted everybody. Okay, everybody's dotted. But look, these dots are falling off, these dots are falling off, these dots are falling off. It's just a complete mess. What I want to do is I want to dot the majority of targets. So I'm going to dot these guys, get them all dotted up. I'm going to dot this guy over here. I'm going to dot this guy. And I think I can dot this guy. And then now I'm going to use my Starfall, Aetherial Kindling, to keep refreshing my dots, like this. So now, see, I'll keep my dots up forever with Aetherial Kindling. See how it's all the way up to 16%? It shows that it's about to end, but I entered the wrong eclipse right there, so don't do that. But see how I can keep my dots up forever? So usually you don't want to dot absolutely everybody. Just dot the majority. Get the AoE Sunfire on like the big pack of people, and then dot a couple outskirts, and then try to get into your Wrath Surging, Wrath Starfalling rotation. So for gearing, right off the bat, we can buy our Honor gear. Our Honor gear will be purchasable at this vendor right here. Buy all Honor gear. You want to prioritize Haste over Verse, over Mastery, over Crit. You don't want to play any Crit if possible. Once you have your Honor gear, you're going to grab a quest from either this guy right here or this guy right here. Grab all the quests and these NPCs, and one of the quests will give you Sparks of, or Trophies of Strife, and you can get 8 of these from that quest. Get your Trophies of Strife, you can buy any of the items right here. Usually you're just going to buy the small items at the very beginning. You don't really want to buy a weapon from here, you want to buy it with Conquest. Do the quest, get your Trophies of Strife, and if you do a PvP world quest, Even if it says it doesn't have bloody tokens, this will give you 50 bloody tokens at least per PvP quest. So that's how you can buy some initial gear right here. Okay, now the next piece of gear you can get is from hitting 1600 in arena. So if you hit 1600 in any bracket, you can get your next piece of gear. You're going to buy this right here. You're going to go inside of this house and you're going to talk to this vendor right here. And what you're going to buy is you're going to buy the chest piece right here. You're going to buy a chest piece of the Autumn Blaze. This will get you your first tier set piece. You can only buy per season one item here, so you won't be coming back here. Okay, you've bought your first tier set piece with your 1600 token. Now you'll have enough conquests to buy your legs here. So you're going to buy any of these legs, it does not matter. Buy one of these. Okay, now that you have your legs from the conquest vendor, you're going to make your way right here to the catalyst. And you're going to open up the catalyst and you're going to put your legs in here. Now I've already done this, but you're going to want to put your legs in here. Okay, so by this point, you should have acquired your 2 set. Now to get your next piece of gear, for this week at least, you're going to want to get a crafted item. So to get this, since you've won at least one arena or one PvP battle, you should have an item in your inventory. I've already completed this quest, but it'll look like a map and it'll have a quest on it. You're going to want to churn this quest in all the way over here. One of the PvP vendors will have a churn in for this quest. What this will give you is a Draconic Trophy of Conquest and a Greater Draconic Trophy of Conquest. I've already used my Greater one, but I'll show you exactly what you're going to want to do. Now that you have your Trophies of Conquest, what you want to do is you want to get the other Spark. So you should have 1 Splinter or 1 Spark in your inventory, and you need 2 of them to make a crafted item. To get the other one, you're going to want to do the Epic Battleground quest from here, or any of the quests that say that you can get a Spark. Okay, so now you have your Spark, you have your Draconic Trophy of Conquest and your Greater Draconic Trophy of Conquest. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go over to Armor, Leather, Head, and then we're going to craft a Lifebound Cap. And so we should have our Spark right here, Spark of Awakening. You should right click the 2 sparks and it'll combine it. And then you can track the recipe, buy these items from the auction house. What you're also going to buy is you're going to buy Draconic Missive of Aura. You're going to buy one of these. You're also going to buy a Statuette of Foreseen Power. This will give you your precog. Buy all the items, put them all in. Make sure Greater Draconic Trophy of Conquest is in. And you have the Spark for this current season. And this should craft a helmet that ends up being like this. Okay, so now you have all of your items for this week. You should end up with the legs, the chest piece, and the helmet. These are the 3 highest main stat value items and 2 set. So you can have all these items. You can also have 1 Draconic piece right off the bat. Now for the remainder of the season, you are going to want to focus on capping your vault here. So if you go to I, Great Vault, you want to cap all 3 of these. And then every Tuesday, you'll head over to the vault, right click it, and select an item. Now when you select your item, only pick up an item that has haste verse on it. If it does not have haste verse on it, do not pick it and pick the gems below. There'll be gems right down here. And with those gems, you can go over to this vendor and buy Eye of Awakening. These will give sockets to your gear. Okay, now that we've gotten all of our gear, we're going to talk about gems and sockets. To worry about gems and sockets, you need to get the add-on called True Stat Values, and I'll show you guys why right here. So once we have the add-on called True Stat Values, what we're going to do is we're going to hit the PvP dummy. Now for Boomy, you have haste, you have verse, you have mastery. These are the ones you want to worry about. Now we can see we have 20% penalty on haste, we have no penalty on my mastery, and we have 20% penalty on my verse. So if I were to reduce my verse by 200, or if I were to reduce my verse by quite a bit, I could get up to 220 extra secondary stat. That's nearly 3% extra secondary stat. So what you're going to want to do is, for this season, you're going to want to go up to the 10% versatility or up to the 20%. So you don't want to go, right now I have 220 over. I want to have 0. I want to have 0 right here, right up to the 20% for versatility. For haste, you're going to want to go into the 20% a little bit for this season, maybe 500 stat into the 20%. And then any stats left over, you're going to put into mastery. How to do this? We are going to use sockets to do this. So with our PvP sockets, we can put sockets on the belt, on the neck, the helmet, the rings, and enchants on all of these as well, except for the helmet and the neck. So what we can do is we can use like mastery enchants, verse enchants, neck enchants, and sockets or neck sockets. We can basically alter our stats so that we're not DRing so much. So say right now I have way too much versatility. I want to have less versatility than what I currently have. So what I'm going to do is, since this enchant is versatility, I'm going to switch this enchant to mastery. Another thing I can do is, say this ring has 900 versatility and 500 haste. What I'm going to do is I'm going to craft another ring. So like last season, I can convert this ring with less verse by using a crafted ring like this. So this one, put on the old one. This is last season's, but you're going to do the same for this season. I'm going to craft a ring, and I'm going to have it have less verse and slightly more haste. So this way I can avoid the stat DRs. And you can craft these rings right over here at the crafting order place. So let's see here. Finger, you'll craft one of these and one of these. Usually rings have super high versatility, especially scaled in arena. This will have about 1200 verse, so we don't want that. We want much less than that. Verse is a massive damage loss. Mastery and haste are by far better stats for damage. One last note about gems is you're going to want to get one gem here at the crafting order place, and you're going to want to get a primary stat and a haste gem. And you can put this on any piece of gear. You can only get one of these as well. So that's all for this guide. I hope that you guys have a great Dragonflight Season 4, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.